Well, joining me live is Dr. Glenn Kolomeitz, military lawyer and defence academic. Glenn, thank you so much for your time. We spoke about this yesterday, the fast-moving operation. It looks like your analysis on Sky yesterday was pretty accurate. What are you now thinking?
Yes, Janie, the evidence just wasn't there yesterday. There was no real way that Prigozhin was going to make a move against Putin, and there was no evidence to show he was going to advance on Moscow and take on the home guard. He wasn't going to intentionally run into the bear, Janie, as we discussed, the old Russian proverb.
So we just heard Deborah Haynes saying, was it theatre perhaps? I mean, how damaging is this for Putin? We've heard many reports from experts in the last 24 hours saying that this is the worst real threat that Putin has had to his presidency in 23 years. How damaging do you think this is?
Janie, this was, and we have to look at Russian history here. This was classic Russian Mascarovka, deception operation by both Putin and Prigozhin. This is Putin sending a message via Prigozhin to the Shoigu-aligned factions in the Kremlin, and it's Prigozhin sending a message that he wants Shoigu and Gerasimov removed from office. So there's a bit of a power play happening here, and as I said yesterday, Putin and Prigozhin are pretty close in a whole bunch of areas. And look, I just think there's more to come in that space. We're even seeing Prigozhin now speaking against the operation in Ukraine, and I suspect we'll see Putin speaking along those lines too. But he needs somebody to blaming the military.
Do you think Prigozhin was careful not to directly criticise or attack Putin?
Very much so, and that's a telling point, Janie. He didn't criticise Putin. He criticised the military leadership, particularly Shoigu and Gerasimov. He blamed them for giving Putin bad advice about the threat from NATO and about the reasoning to go into Ukraine, the justification for the special military operation, and about indeed the potential success of that operation. So he's setting Putin up now to be able to blame somebody. Yeah, that was pretty clear, I think, Jane, and he hasn't expressly attacked Putin verbally.
We heard COBRA emergency meetings underway. People, leaders across Europe and the US and so forth are certainly keeping a close knit and a close watch on this situation. How do you see it unfolding?
Janie, I have a bit of a theory here. And again, I'm just looking at Russian history and looking at Putin and Prigozhin's relationship. And I think Putin's looking for an off-ramp out of Ukraine, but he needs somebody to blame. He needs to be able to blame Shoigu and the Russian military leadership. And he's setting that up now, I believe, via Prigozhin, who is saying exactly that. So look, I think there's, as I said yesterday, nothing in Russia is ever as it seems. And this looks to me like it's Prigozhin helping Putin to posture against the Russian military leadership and get out of Ukraine.
Were war crimes committed, Glenn?
Janie, I think it's fairly clear now that that war crimes have been committed, and not just by the Russian conventional forces, certainly by the Wagner Group, by Prigozhin's troops. Some of the areas they've been to, so some pretty horrendous stuff happening. So we'll see where that goes. But I think the answer is a pretty clear yes, Janie.